7:43, good morning to you. Some light, well, they're not even light clouds. There's clouds. There's clouds out there. It's a beautiful black sky day. And stop it. Stop it.
7:43. On the phone with us this morning, Yakima County Prosecutor, Mr. Joseph Brusic. We call him Joe. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
Morning, Joe's our fault. What's going on? Good morning. Thanks for spending some time with us this morning, Joe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right on. Joe, I guess first of all, right off the top, we talked to you earlier. I think we talked to you Monday about what happened in Selah, and with that proclamation, you sent a letter to the city of Selah, Sherry Raymond, the mayor, on Saturday, and you were supposed to have a meeting with her yesterday. Don't know if that happened. Give us the latest. Where are we at?
Well, first of all, once again, I want to say it's an honor and privilege to appear on your show and to discuss and communicate with everyone in Yakima County.
Right on.
That's very important to me.
Right on.
We did have a meeting yesterday, and I thought it was an excellent meeting. Our office manager, Deborah Clausing, and myself went over to Rob Case's office and met with both Mayor Sherry Raymond as well as Don Wayman, who is the city manager, and I thought we had an excellent meeting. Very good communication. It was positive. We wanted to make sure. I mean, communication really is a key to success for any organization, and it's no different. They wanted to talk with me. I wanted to talk with them, and it went well. We discussed the proclamation. We discussed the letter. They were positive in the sense that they didn't want to, go sideways with locals here, say me or our office. I thought that was very important. And I don't want to go sideways with the city of Selah. We agreed on most. We didn't agree on everything, and it becomes an interpretation issue. Realistically, my situation and where I stand, and I made it clear, hopefully in the letter that I wrote, is that I just want the rules and the procedures to be followed appropriately. Whether someone is right or wrong is not really the issue at this point, and I made that clear to them. And I appreciated Rob Case, the Selah City Attorney. He did a great job representing their interests. I respect what he does and what he said, and I thought it went well.
So, but it's still in place, right?
Well, yeah, and we just talked about some of the language, and as the mayor, first of all, I was very impressed both with Mr. Wayman as well as with Mayor Raymond, and the language that was used in the proclamation, as the mayor indicated last night, apparently at the meeting, there's going to be clarification possibly, and that's what we were told. I was told in the meeting yesterday. And that would be great. And I said that any further clarification I would appreciate, just to part of that communication process to kind of nail down specifics. I thought that was great. It would be I would speculate that the governor's office probably would appreciate that. And I think that's important.
So I mean, and specifically, what do you want them to make more clear?
Well, I mean, one of the things that, I think it probably came out very clearly, is that the governor does have the power to issue what he's doing. Now, whether, obviously I've taken a lot of heat from emails and texts and various communications about people disagreeing with me and saying I'm inconsistent, I'm unethical, and then using a lot of other bad words and language that probably would be inappropriate to use on the radio.
Right. Chicken heads appear on your doorstep or anything?
Yeah, not quite yet, but that may be coming. But the reality is the governor does have the ability to do this, and they acknowledge that. And I think that's probably one of the clarifications that's going to come about. And I think that's important. To say that the governor doesn't have the authority and power to do what he's doing is not accurate in my professional legal opinion. And they acknowledge that. And once again, it's a matter of interpretation. I interpreted the proclamation that the mayor sent out a little differently than they intended it, and they, and I clarified a little bit of the letter that I had written, and it all went well because we kind of just talked it out. And And I think that's important for everyone to know. The communication is there. There's not a breakdown. There's no threats from either side. It went well in that respect.
Did you wind up getting a King's Row burger out of the deal? Or? No? Joe, let me ask you this, though. I'm glad to hear that. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah.
Clearly, as you said, there's a difference of legal opinion. You have yours, and their lawyer has his. And the people bringing lawsuits against the governor obviously have theirs as well, and theirs might differ from yours. But I guess the question, part of what brought some of the heat on you is, the governor, I'll ask it this way. Did the governor ask you to look into this, or did you just decide to do this on your own? And if so, why?
Well, that's a great question. And no, the governor did not. And in fact, Rob Case asked me that exact question yesterday, and I said no. I felt it was incumbent upon me. I mean, obviously, I have a job to do. I perceive my job in a certain way, and people can differ from their viewpoint of my job. Whether at one point people want me to use discretion, and other times they don't want me to use discretion. They want me to follow this law, but they don't want me to follow that law.
Yeah.
And so the governor did not ask me to do this, nor did his counsel. They have been on a number of occasions. His counsel have been in contact with both Sheriff Udell and myself on a number of occasions in the last few weeks, as they have with other prosecutors around the state.
All across the state.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, so Joe, let me ask you this then, and I don't mean to interrupt, but this maybe we can foreshorten that a little bit with this. You don't go around looking under rocks, looking for opportunities to do this. This was in the paper. This was in the community's face, so to speak. I don't imagine you're spending much of your time seeking out people who may or may not be philosophically at odds with the governor's position. Am I right?
That's correct. I'm not doing that. I'm not trying to be proactive and be I'm not an agent of the governor. I'm an independently elected official. I'm the Yakima County Prosecutor, and it's a very different role than what the governor has. But I also have duties. I have duties to uphold the law, and I know that the governor has the authority to intervene regardless of whether I agree or disagree. Yeah. The Attorney General's office can reach out. They can prosecute individuals and businesses independently from anything that I do or we do as an office. And they have the Consumer Protection Act that they can bring to bear against any businesses and individuals here and around every county in the state of Washington. And ultimately, we can obviously, as I indicated yesterday during the meeting, there's always the option of local prosecution, but that's none of the prosecutors elected in the state of Washington want to go down that road. We don't want to go down prosecuting individuals and businesses. However, it's always going to be an option. It's always going to be, and the governor has the ability to move forward regardless of whether I agree with this particular option or not.
So I guess first of all, did you read it in the paper? Did somebody call you? I mean, how did you learn what was going on in Selah?
I learned from Andre Fresco, who is the executive director of the Yakima Health Department. He was very concerned from a medical standpoint that this was going to create further problems. It is his professional opinion, and we've talked nearly every day for the last 7 to 10 days, that medically speaking, this is not going in the right direction on behalf of Yakima County. He was very concerned that this was going to open up medical problems in terms of social distancing and otherwise. And he and I spoke late Friday afternoon and into the evening about this, and it was a major concern.
Yeah, but Joe, he's not coming. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, all I was going to say, Lance, is you'll recall when people were saying, if I see a violation, do I tell the police? And everybody was told, no, you go to the health district. They are the ones that have the authority to say that's a violation and then take action accordingly.
So, Joe, had you not done this, would you have felt that you didn't do your job?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Joe, would you still do that? Would you do this? Would you do it again? I mean, looking at all the calls you said, the emails, all the criticism that you got.
Chicken heads.
Would you have done it? I mean, would you do it again?
Yes, I would. Unequivocally, yes, I would. Because, and here's the most important point, Lance. The reality is that I need to do my job in terms of giving notice. As I explained in the meeting yesterday, part of my job is to provide notice And that's what happened. That's what happened through communication of the letter. It wasn't a threat. It was a letter that explained, because I was writing to Mayor Raymond. I wasn't writing to an attorney, and I was writing to her, and I don't know. And I said this in the meeting. I didn't know what was her basis of knowledge, and who knows? Maybe she said, "Oh, gee, I'm sorry, I didn't know."
Yeah.
That wasn't the case. Obviously she had legal advice, and I respect that.
No, I fully understand that. I guess I'm just going to speak for some people in this community who feel like, that Andrew Fresca's not talking for them. That he's not talking about folks that have a business out there, and I guess that's just a big concern. That I think that there's a lot of people that feel that there's not a voice out there speaking for that part of this. That everyone's, and I think that's probably why Sherry Raymond's getting a little bit of, getting some press and get a lot of people that like her out there, because it finally feels like someone is speaking for the economy and all the other people that are hurting in this pandemic. And I know that you can't really say anything about that, but I just want to say that, when you talk to Fresca and then you guys go after Selah and stuff, it just feels like there's no one speaking for the other side.
Sure.
And I know you can understand that.
I do, and I appreciate that. But remember, my job in my position is to provide that notice and to make sure individuals have and know their options and potential consequences of their actions. Other than that, I totally understand. As I indicated in my letter, I totally get the fact that businesses are hard hit. People are losing money. I'm very sensitive to that. And I've got friends and family that have been directly affected in exactly that way. Yeah. No question about it. But it doesn't mean that I don't do my job or I turn a blind eye. No. And I see it as a duty, and I see it as part of my oath, and I see it as kind of, the progression of communication as we move forward. You're seeing this nationally and locally, and you have people on either side that are very polarized. Sure. And so I'm trying to manage this to the very best of my ability. And whether I'm doing a good or bad job, obviously people are going to have their opinion, and I respect their opinions. And people have let me know that I'm failing them and failing the county. And I have my opinion as to whether I'm doing a good or bad job, but I'm trying to do the very best I can on behalf of the people of Yakima County to provide public safety. And I'm open-minded to any criticism, because I think that can be very healthy as well.
Joe, I got a question for you, if I may, and that would be this. I explained it as a kind of a two-sided approach yesterday. You have folks that will, by their own interpretations, decide this is an unjust law and then refuse to act on it. You also have people who say it's as long as the law is the law, my job is to uphold the law until it isn't, and right now it is. So, like it or not, that's what I've got to do. So you kind of have those two different philosophical approaches. Yeah. One is I took an oath and I'm going to obey the laws, and another sort of says, I guess I know better because I think it's an unjust law, so I'm not going to follow it up. But of course, that for the rebel spirit, a lot of people champion that. It's like we love it when our guy wants to stand up and say, I'm not doing this because this isn't right. Do you agree that that's sort of the two horns of the dilemma, and that your personal ethical choice is to uphold the law, and if people want it changed, there's process for that?
Yes, exactly right. You said that very, very well, Dave. Thank you. The reality is this. There are two ways to look at it. You follow the law, or arguably you don't follow it. There are consequences to not following a law. Some people believe that laws on their face to them individually are unconstitutional. I understand that that's their viewpoint. I don't share that viewpoint. There's a legal process to deal with exactly what we're going through. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, and it was the same issue with gun rights, with 1639. People believe that because it's unconstitutional to them, they don't have to follow the law. I'm a rule follower. That's why I wanted to be a prosecutor. That's why I wanted to be a lawyer. And I understand their position. There's a legal process to deal with this, as I indicated in the letter, as I indicated in the meeting. The dealing with these processes have to go through the right channels. I know some people disagree with that, and they have a right to their opinion. Unfortunately, I have my duties and my job, as I perceive it, where then, as the executive branch of government, I enforce the laws of the state of Washington, and most notably, obviously, in Yakima County. So I think you said it very, very well.
Well, there are going to be people in the population that champion both sides. It's just one of those things.
Exactly.
That it's going to be a split in mindset based on circumstances well beyond any one individual's control. So you pick your path that you feel A, most comfortable with, B, most legally sound on, and knowing that you're upholding your oath of office, and you proceed. If it sounds like I'm defending you, I am. I understand the law and order aspect, and I encourage everybody who doesn't take that, who don't take that approach, who doesn't like that approach, they need to get involved then and make sure that the right people are in place to make those laws, that they are doing what citizens can do to challenge those laws legally, but know that their prosecutor is going to uphold the law as long as it's the law.
I agree, and then once again you get into the secondary level of discretion, and that's a whole nother topic.
Sure.
But you said that very well, and I appreciate that. And I understand people can completely disagree with me and my approach. That's just the way I am, and I'm trying to do the job that I've been entrusted with to the very best of my ability. And I'll leave it to everyone else in the county to determine whether that is good or bad.
Well, and I probably just picked up a couple of chicken heads on my own, so thanks for nothing, Joe.